comes courtesy of our friends over at The View. When I say our friends over at The View, I mean the low IQ idiots who are on panel at The View. And yes, you are a complete stupid idiot. My God, she is so stupid. This is the same lady who thinks everything is racist. Everything and everyone is racist, except Hitler and the Holocaust. Genius.
Is infamous for routinely obliterating the intellectual sinkhole that is The View. He views the show as a platform for delusional women who believe their opinions on trending topics are somehow insightful, when in reality they often spew poorly fact-checked liberal takes based on mainstream media narratives. But before we jump in, I've got a quick favor. To ask if you're enjoying this content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for your support. Means the world to us. Now let's get back into it first. Let's talk about how much Ben Shapiro has expressed his desire to appear on The View. It's no secret that Ben has been vocal about wanting to step into the lion's den and face off against the hosts.
Lifelong ambition to actually be a guest on The View. They'll never have me on, of course, because it would go horribly.
Let's be real. He probably didn't expect the level of nonsense coming from one of the most infamous women on that show, Whoopi Goldberg. Ben doesn't hold back when it comes to calling out Whoopi. In fact, one of his biggest targets is Whoopi's shocking comments about the Holocaust. For Ben, a Jewish man, her remarks are nothing short of offensive.
Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race. No, it's about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
No.
Whoopi, in a moment of sheer ignorance, suggested that the Holocaust wasn't about race. Ben was quick to express his disbelief, pointing out the ridiculousness of this statement.
It's not about
ideal race.
But these are two white groups of people.
Not only is that the worst clip in the history of The View, that is the worst clip in the history of television. Like, all of television.
He made it clear that for someone who constantly makes everything about race, that the Holocaust, arguably the most racially motivated genocide in history, can't possibly be excluded from that framework.
Goldberg is obnoxious and stupid beyond all measure. The Holocaust was not about race. Ask the Nazis. The entire Holocaust was about race. All of it. Which is why they didn't just pick on Jews who observed Judaism. They picked on anyone who had quote-unquote Jewish blood. The entire thing was about...
What's truly frustrating for Ben is that the Holocaust isn't some abstract event. It's a cornerstone of world history to reduce it to man's inhumanity, to man as Whoopi. This is a gross distortion of facts that trivializes the suffering of millions.
Humanity to man. Nope. It is about a genocidal attempt to exterminate the Jews, which has a thousands-of-year-old history. And yes, it was rooted in race.
Ben's frustration is palpable. It's not just that he's Jewish. It's that such an ignorant statement is allowed to be broadcasted to millions without a challenge. Who could possibly call the extermination of 6 million Jews anything less than a racially motivated atrocity?
Yes, you are a complete stupid idiot. My God, she is so stupid. This is the same lady who thinks everything is racist. Everything and everyone is racist, except Hitler and the Holocaust.
But Ben isn't just criticizing Whoopi for one slip-up. She's not alone in making wildly ignorant statements. From other The View hosts have made their own contributions to this ever-growing collection of absurdities. Whoopi may have competition when it comes to outrageous remarks, but Ben's point about The View being a repository of stupidity is only further validated as we see more examples of what goes on behind that set. Take, for instance, a moment when Whoopi made a shocking comparison between the US and Israel and terrorist groups like Hamas and the Taliban.
And comparing the US, Israel, Hamas, and the Taliban as all terrorist organizations. And she has maybe way more knowledge and experience in the very complicated Middle Eastern relations. But I did find that being on a foreign committee and comparing the country to a known terror, those are organized terrorist communities, that, not Israel, but Hamas and...
When Ben heard this comparison, he could barely contain his disbelief. How could anyone, let alone someone with the platform Whoopi holds, make such a misguided, outrageous claim? Of course, Whoopi didn't hold back, and her response left viewers shaking their heads.
And that depends on who you talk to.
Right. Well, I mean, that's how they're recognized as terrorist organizations.
But it does depend on who you talk to.
Well, they're recognized in this country.
Depends on who you talk to. Whoopi, always available to sign in to both compare Israel and the United States to terrorist organizations and also compare terrorist organizations to apparently not terrorist organizations. Like, Hamas is not a terrorist organization?
Let's see what Ben has to say on this.
Oh, man. It is amazing because Whoopi is sort of seen on this show as sort of the wise old sage. And I have to say, you need better.
The worst part, other members of the show rarely challenge her when they do. It's often more about keeping the peace rather than genuinely calling out the absurdity. Ben's frustration with The View is clear. He doesn't just find it amusing. He finds it disturbing that such low IQ statements are often met with agreement or, at best, passive acceptance. He points out that on The View, if you fail to participate in the daily insanity, you risk being singled out for having even a hint of intellectual independence.
It's interesting that a lot of the English language has to be rethought. Blackmailing is negative, black sheep, negative. I can think of a few others if I had the time, but those words are kind of like embedded in our psyches and maybe need to be changed. Why is a black sheep a bad thing and a white sheep is a good thing? Why? They're just sheep.
Well, it's not the words. It's not the words, it's the way we think.
It's beyond scary that The View has been airing continuously for years, pushing divisive narratives and making headline-grabbing remarks that do nothing but fuels political polarization. Ben often jokes about how the show is like a circus with women, acting as if they are paragons of equality while at the same time spewing some of the most inflammatory, ignorant rhetoric on the airwaves.
You're right, Joy. Probably they started saying black sheep versus white sheep, not because of the commonality of the sheep, but because of black people in like rural Europe. Nailed it. Yeah, it's about what? African-American sheep. This is so stupid. It's about black male, like black people male in the...
But The View isn't just limited to Whoopi's blunders. Joy Behar has also made her fair share of outrageous comments. Ben can't help but notice that these women seem to disregard basic fact-checking and truth in favor of make grandiose statements that fit their liberal narrative.
I don't think that kids in this country are learning our history. They're not learning about slavery. They're not learning about Jim Crow. They don't understand the history of black Americans in this country. If they did, they would then understand white privilege better. So my suggestion is start teaching this stuff. It's deplorable, again, that word, that they do not learn history, period. I mean, people who are young, under 50, don't know who
Ben brings up Joy's eagerness to defend black people. A well-intentioned but dangerous, misguided effort, given how often her remarks end up reinforcing racism, stereotypes.
What is she talking about? We all learned in school about slavery and Jim Crow and FDR. Honestly, it's the people who are teaching DEI crap in public schools who actually don't care whether the kids know who FDR is. Those kids don't know the first thing about history. But they know that people are...
Ben calls it out when Joy tries to be the ultimate ally. She ends up stepping in it badly. The fact that she doesn't seem to recognize how her views are harmful is part of what makes she's one of the most dangerous commentators on the show online. The backlash she faces only proves that. People see through the facade if she continues down this path. She may just overtake Whoopi for the title of most absurd remarks on The View.
She said, I grew up in a world where a woman who looks like me with my kind of skin and my kind of hair was never considered beautiful. So, do her words resonate with you at all?
Because you're a black person?
Now let's circle back to one of Whoopi's most cringeworthy moments when she was berated men for having a say in the debate. Over what happens to fetuses, Ben's reaction to this was pure gold, he pointed out. The glaring contradictions in Whoopi's arguments. After all, if liberal ideologies are so inclusive and progressive, how is it that Whoopi as one of their own couldn't recognize the potentially transphobic and ageist? The implications of her words. It's a head-scratcher, especially when you consider the standard the left holds for everyone else.
Any of you men have any eggs or the possibility of carrying a fetus? How dare you talk about what a fetus wants? You have no idea. I'm fine if you disagree with abortion. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, you do.
My problem comes when you tell me what I need to do with my doctor and my family. How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare...
Ben's take on this moment is both hilarious and insightful. He wonders why Whoopi, who's supposed to be the wise elder on The View, is constantly spouting off such uninformed and clueless statements for someone who's had so many years in the public eye. Isn't it strange that she keeps making such fundamental mistakes?
Many questions on this, as it turns out. First, transphobia. Massive transphobia. If you don't have eggs, you can't... Are you saying that some women can't be men and some men can't be women? Are you saying Unless you have eggs, you're not a woman. Is that what you're saying, Whoopi Goldberg? Also, if that is the new standard, how about women who are postmenopausal? Whoopi Goldberg? Can they have opinions on? I mean, you can't have a baby right now, I assume. How old is Whoopi Goldberg? She's in her 60s.
At the end of the day, Ben doesn't pull any punches when it comes to The View. There's just too much material to work with, and he's more than happy to take the show apart one ridiculous comment at a time. And let's be honest, if Ben ever stepped onto that set, it would be a disaster for the liberal hosts, as he'd have them on the ropes in a time as much as Ben wants that opportunity. A lot of viewers are eager, anticipating the day when it happens. That's all for today, folks. Thanks for sticking with us to the end of this video. Which moment from The View had you shaking your head the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more of this heated content. We'll see you in the next video.